Hey guys, today I want to share a campaign leveling build for you here on the Stormweaver in Path of Exile 2's new patch. This is going to be a triple infusion spark build. So if you find this one useful at all, guys, hit like and subscribe for me. So main style of the show will be spark for our setup today. We're going to support it with triple infusion. So Flame Wall will give us fire. Orb of Storm Infusion will allow us to get even more lightning, and then Frost Bomb will give us the big cold infusion on our Spark. And once it gets the triple element going, this thing does a lot of damage, and it's pretty fun to use in the campaign. Now, this build does require you to use multiple skills to really make the most of it. So if you're not one of those people who like using, 4 or 5 different skills in a single build, this one might not be for you. But it's actually pretty powerful once you sort of learn what you're doing. It's not really that hard to play. Guys, if you find the video useful, smash that like and subscribe button. So let's get into this. I'll show you what we're doing here with Spark. I've gone for Controlled Destruction. Now, once we get a little bit higher level, we do want to take this out, and we do want to enable our Spark to be able to crit. But early game, I think 25% more hit damage is worth it. We have 15% cast speed, and then we have Rising Temper. Supported skills deal 12% more elemental damage for each skill recently used of a different elemental type. So we're going to be spamming a lot of elemental skills, so we're going to be able to get maximum value out of this. We're going to support it with a Flame Wall for the fire. As I said, now early game, I like putting a skill effect duration and the circle one on. This is a fortress. It makes the flame wall a big circle, right? Later on, I like to put the one on that allows it to triple cast. So you'll have 3 circular flame walls out there. That's how I like to run it. You don't have to run that one as you go further on into the game, but I think it's really nice. Now, our Orb of Storms is going to create a lightning infusion when it dissipates, right? So we actually want to make it last as least amount of time as possible. So I've gone for this one that has +1 to limit and negative effect duration by 50%. So we're able to spam out multiple of these, and they last half the amount of time. So we're going to be able to get our lightning infusions pretty quickly. So Frost Bomb, this is the similar sort of deal here. The Frost Bomb actually has a pretty lengthy cooldown. So one of the ones we want to put on here is 25% increased cooldown recovery rate. Early game, this is really nice. Later on, you can get the higher level version of it too. So Harmonic Remnants is what I have on here as well. 20% chance for supported skills to create an additional remnant, and they can travel to you from 100% further away, which is nice. And then we have supported skills have 40% less detonation time. So this acts similarly to the Orb of Storms in terms of the elemental infusion. It will be created once the bomb actually goes off. So we do want that detonation time to be as quickly as possible. We do also want to take +1 limit from the skill tree to really help out here as well. Now, so these are the main 3 abilities that will support our Spark. However, if you do want to go even further into damage output, Elemental Weakness, throw this down on a boss and you're able to inflict negative 49% elemental resistance, which is really nice. Early game, I've got it supported with the increased magnitude. Later on, there are some interesting higher level ones you can put on here as well. But early game, it just depends how many of these support gems you actually have available to you. Mana Tempest, again, is another one that can allow us to dump out big damage with our Spark pretty quickly. So additional 58% of damage as lightning damage. Splits into 2 additional targets. So it's pretty nice. As you can see, I've only just unlocked this one. I don't have any supports in there. A bit later on, you are going to want to put Archmage in here as your next ability too. That's a bit later on in the campaign though. So as you can see here, we do have quite a few different skills for our setup here. So this is a type of build where you will have to place down several different skills and then shoot out your Spark to take maximum advantage of it. Now, you can create a Spark build that is mostly just a lightning damage, but this is different and this is fun. So I wanted to try the new mechanics here. So let's talk about the early game itemization. We're going to want to look out for +1 level of all spell skills or lightning spell skills. Is really nice. Can also roll over here on the focus, which this is just the best one I have at the moment. The other one we want to keep our eye out for is +1 level of all projectile skills. So we want as many skill levels as we can get. So having these sorts of items equipped is really nice. Now, early game, the other one I've prioritized here is spell damage. So I've got 41% over here, 42% coming from over here. And then we're just going for mana regeneration rate where we can get it as well, and then some resistances. So keep your eye on these 3 items for the plus spell or plus lightning spell skills. Now, the rest of the items, I like to prioritize Energy Shield, and then getting some rarity and resistances where we can is really nice. So these are not the best items that you can get in the early game, but these are just the items that I currently have equipped. As I said, we're prioritizing Energy Shield, resistances, and then just anything that'll help us out with rarity. Having a bit of armor here on our belt can be pretty nice too. So max mana and max armor is kind of nice there. Now, you do want movement speed on your boots, plus max energy shield and max mana. It's not too bad for the early game. We do want more resistances on our setup here, so I could start subbing some of these runes out for resistances as we are getting a bit further on into the game. Now, the rings I have here are not all that good. This one at least has a big chunk of fire res, max mana, and some rarity, which is okay. This one is not particularly good. Again, it's just a defensive ring, max mana and max life. Now, I could definitely find something better here. I just have not prioritized crafting my rings just yet. The gloves, we've just got some lightning rares, rarity, and energy shield. We could definitely get better gloves. Again, this is just what I have in here at the moment. Again, with the helmet here, we've got energy shield. This one has the rarity and some resistance stuff on it as well, which is nice. All right, let's just talk about the passive tree next. As you can see, I've gone down here for Arcane Surge, but for this particular build, you could actually go over here first. Randoms you create reappear once, 3 seconds after being collected. I think this one might be better for the early game, but over here is not too bad for the early game as well. 50% chance when collecting an elemental infusion to gain another different elemental infusion. So both of these are pretty good. You could spend your first 2 points. Now, originally I went for Arcane Surge because I wasn't actually doing the elemental infusions yet. I was just doing plain lightning, and it was feeling okay, but not that amazing. So I wanted to switch up and try the infusion. So to respec, I would probably go over here for our first points. Now, coming up here after you've taken the remnant stuff and going for Arcane Surge, I think is a great choice. If you do want to take a different route and go like shock or whatever, you totally can do that too. If you are going to go hard into crit chance for your build, you could go the Elemental Storm, which I do personally really enjoy, but I did that in the one of the previous patches, so I wanted to do something different here. So I think I'll go come down here, take Force of Will, go Refracted Infusion, and Storm's Recollection. Let's talk about the passive tree. Now, there are a few particular clumps in here which are really good for our infusion. So Everlasting Infusions, 10% chance not to remove infusion, but still counts as consuming them. So we actually got 20% chance with these 3 nodes, so that's not too bad. And then we get increased spell damage when we've actually consumed one recently. So that's not too bad. We also can come over here, +1 limit to orb skills, which is perfect. A lot of our skills are counted as orb skills, so this is really, really nice. I've also just gone for the increased spell damage down here. Over here, we've got Elemental Infusion Duration, which isn't too bad. They can be collected from further away. More spell damage after we collect one, which is really nice. And then I've come up here for +1 maximum Lightning and +1 maximum Cold Infusion. So this is where we're at in the early part of the game. This is how I recommend going up here first and grabbing these nodes. You can come down here for the orb limit, or you can go up here and grab the extra infusion limit. Once you have a few extra points, that's when I started to go for some extra damage and cast speed and the extra nodes down here. So once you're a bit higher level, over here has some interesting stuff as well. Infusion remnants, you create always a random element. That's pretty interesting. Got this one here, +1 maximum number, which is great. 10% chance when collecting a fusion to gain an additional one. So there's some interesting stats in here as well. This does require a bit more investment over here in this direction of the tree. You could come up over here. There's some interesting stuff over here if you do want to go for crit chance a bit later on. You got attack speed and crit chance stuff over here, which is pretty nice. So if you do want to come in this direction to grab the elemental infusion stuff, you can also make this into a crit chance build. But for the early game, I've also taken stuff that will just affect all of our elemental damage. That's one of the reasons I prioritize spell damage instead of lightning damage only in the skill tree. And we've taken some elemental damage stuff where we can get it, and spell damage over here too. So here's the thing, you won't always need to put down a triple infusion to just clear a bunch of the ads. In fact, Spark is pretty decent at sort of ad clear. If you just throw down your cold infusion, for example, and then shoot out a Spark, it will kill a lot of the lower tier enemies for you, just like that, right? You don't necessarily have to put 3 things down every time you want to jump into combat, but at least having the flame wall down and throwing out one of your frost bombs there, at the very least, will give you a triple infusion. You don't have to also put the Orb of Storms down like this, right? Having the extra lightning damage from the lightning infusion, though, is pretty nice as well. So having the triple really does give you a big power boost, right? Okay. Yeah, so not every single group of ads will require you to throw out everything you have, right? If we really want to get saucy, we can do stuff like... where is it? Mana Tempest too, which is nice. Mana Tempest is pretty strong. Okay, do we have a boss in here? We got this guy. He can be pretty annoying. Beautiful. So that guy moves around quite a bit. Pretty hard to do like a, sub 20-second boss melt on him or something while he's moving around and flying and all that. But we got through him pretty quickly in the end. I think it was under a minute anyway. Alright guys, it's a really fun way to play the campaign. It does require you to spam quite a few buttons, so you know what, if you don't want to use 5 different skills in a build, I understand that. However, it's pretty fun, and as long as you actually get the triple infusion happening, as long as you don't forget to put down your Orb of Storms as well, you are doing big damage out there. You can spam down like 3+ of those early on in the campaign here. It's pretty nice. So guys, if you enjoyed the video at all, consider hitting a like and subscribe for me. I'll catch you on the next one. Hope you all have a fantastic, amazing day. Take it easy.